Thank you everyone for joining. I know people are still kind of trickling in here. I'm going to go ahead and just do a quick share. I appreciate you guys being patient with me today. Meeting hopping isn't always ideal. All right, I should probably see my screen. Give me 1 second while I get that set up. Oh, sorry guys, everything is moving very slow for me today. Okay, well, I don't know if my slideshow wants to show, but
I can see it,
yeah,
Catherine.
you
You're
can.
doing great.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get it to open up
Advance.
more here, but it will not. Anyway, um, welcome everyone. We'll also go ahead and get started here. If you are here today, you are here to join DELN and our guest speaker, Jolenta Coleman-Bush, as she presents Building AI Skills to Accelerate Nonprofit Impact. We will be hearing from her very shortly here. And in the meantime, for those of you not familiar with DELN, and again, I apologize, everything is really moving slow today. I just wanted to give a quick introduction of what DELN is. We are Digital Equity Learning Network, and we are a regional coalition based out of Seattle, King County. Um, we I'm the program manager. My name is Catherine Van Henley. I'm the program manager for DELN, and we focus on convening practitioners and leaders in the digital equity ecosystem here. We share resources, we advocate, and we also, provide as much information and professional development opportunities as we can. And without further ado, I hope my computer wants to work here. I'm going to give Jolenta as much time as she needs today. So I'll go ahead and introduce Jolenta Coleman-Bush. She's with Microsoft, and she is the Director of Education, Workforce, and AI Skills, I believe, in the philanthropy organization. But feel free to come off mute and introduce yourself, Jolenta.
Hey, hello. Hi, can everyone hear me? Great, nice to meet everyone. Thank you for the introduction. My name is Jolenta Coleman-Bush. As Catherine said, I work here specifically in Washington State for Microsoft, and I work on a very, very small but mighty team. That's the Washington State team. So we are end to end focused on kind of like our headquarters state, and that's government affairs, that's community and philanthropic engagement, and then that's public affairs. And so I manage our education, workforce, and AI skills portfolio here in Washington State. So what that means is I work with, you know, a whole host of partners, but mostly in the all of our education partners, our 4-year and 2-year partners, and then our nonprofit partners that provide either direct kind of skill development for adult learners and or nonprofits that support the learning of students, and that's like wraparound services, key expanded learning opportunities, etc. So that's a little bit about me and what I do. And so, yeah, I'm just here today to share a little bit about some of the resources that we're currently providing for nonprofits globally, but specifically here in the region for myself. So yeah, and then I have a couple slides to share. So I'm going to attempt to share my screen, and then hopefully everything works out. So hopefully you can see just this introductory slide. Thank you. Sorry, I am not Zoom proficient for a lot of reasons. So just want to make sure you're seeing the slides. And if at any point there's a lag in where I'm changing the slides, please let me know, because I know that happens a little bit on Zoom. So today I want to talk about a fairly new program that we have here at Microsoft. It's called Microsoft Elevate for Changemakers. Like I said before, we've always historically have provided services for nonprofits, and that includes on the sales side, but then also on our skilling side. But this year we launched a program that was a little bit more in-depth and targeted directly towards nonprofits. And I'll share a little bit more about that. So, okay, here we go. So as nonprofit leaders, as many of you are on this call, you're kind of operating in a moment of real tension. Like on one hand, we're seeing demand for services increase, like we see in that first section of the slide, where 85% of nonprofits expect service demands to increase. So that's
Jolenta, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think we're seeing the we're not seeing it advance. We might be seeing a different window.
Let me see if I can go back and
We see
then.
thumbnails on the left in the
Oh,
first.
you see the
Right.
thumbnails. Oh, that's not what you should be seeing. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing and then reshare. Let's see. Okay, so for some reason it's showing this other slides. I want to. Okay, well, I will just, for some reason, it's not going to the slide view. I'm not sure why, but here's what I'll do. And can you only see the thumbnails, or can you see the actual slides?
Yeah, it looks like you reduced the thumbnail so we can follow
Yeah.
along. I think this is just fine if you want to just.
Okay, making sure everyone can see.
Mhm.
Okay. There we go. And now I'm sure you can see this now. So this is what I was talking about. So we're seeing increases in the amount of demand for services, especially nonprofit services, given the state of the world right now. But we're also, there's this real tension of like resource scarcity that's kind of happening, right? So more demand, but then, resources are very tight. Capacity is shrinking for a lot of nonprofits and across multiple sectors, I would say. And then at the same time, you're getting interest in kind of AI. And so we're seeing about 80% of nonprofits that are really have no policy in place for their AI. So there's an increase in desire to use it, but really not the infrastructure currently at the nonprofits to really implement in a secure and responsible and safe way. But here's the gap we keep hearing. So this is the gap we keep hearing about. And then a majority of our nonprofits say that they're already kind of using AI or planning to use AI. So we have this gap of like, okay, we're using it, but a lot of us actually don't have the policies and procedures in place to use it responsibly. And so that's where we kind of stepped in and thought, how do we provide some additional support for nonprofits in this space? Right. Click, go. So we launched Microsoft Elevate for Changemakers in March of this year. And the focus really was about how do we create really strong partnerships with trusted partners, and that's globally, so trusted training partners, our work with NetHope, et cetera, to really design and deliver kind of a whole host of opportunities for nonprofit leaders. And the other principle that was really kind of at the center of this too was that access for all. Like, how do you make sure that it's accessible for all nonprofits, no matter what size they are, large, small, there's something for everyone to take advantage of. And really thinking about how do we do kind of, again, high quality training, credentials that are transferable across the sector, and then making sure that it's, again, accessible with no cost, So anyone can actually participate. In the past, there has been like a lot of AI trainings and just digital skilling trainings for nonprofits, but oftentimes they came with kind of a cost from the nonprofit, whether it's, even going on to some of those on-demand and remote opportunities. Okay, let's see. So here's kind of the breakdown of the offerings that we have to provide. We have our AI for nonprofits. So that is a credentialed program, and it's developed in partnership with Microsoft, LinkedIn, and NetHope. And the credential helps nonprofit professionals not only build, but then they can validate their AI expertise through kind of role-based learning. And then it all emphasizes kind of responsible and effective use. So imagine nonprofit workers being able to come in, get a credential, signal that they did actually take the course, validate their skills. And I will say that what makes this very, very different than kind of trainings in the past is that a lot of the scenarios that are baked into the training are nonprofit scenarios. So NetHope came in and said, okay, like what are some realistic scenarios in fundraising, in donor engagement, in volunteer engagement, in case management, things that are really, really critical for the nonprofit sector. And so those are really baked into the trainings. The second piece that we've done is to build a community, right? Oftentimes I spend a lot of time training, school districts and nonprofits, but I always ask the question, like, where are you in your nonprofit journey? And everyone is like, oh, I'm really early on. And they, that very shy to say kind of like, oh, we just don't, and feeling alone in that. And so how do we build a community of nonprofits globally to really be able to kind of share the expertise, build upon everyone's brilliance, etc. And so that's where we launched this Changemaker fellowship, is again to create a community. And then lastly, building upon that AI for nonprofit credential, how do you continue to provide trainings and such that really build on that expertise? So again, it can be 101, but it can also be someone that's, a CTO at a nonprofit that's learning how to build agents, etc. So building on that capacity of the nonprofits, so providing both live and on-demand trainings that go beyond, I would say, that like general AI for nonprofit 101 training. And again, all accessible, all, no cost, etc. Okay. Sorry, I have to go to two different screens to change my. Okay. And I talked a little bit about this. So again, this is the credential that we created in collaboration with NetHope. If you're not familiar with NetHope, it's a global nonprofit consortium that brings together kind of both nonprofit and technology partners. And so this is their like skill set. They, their organizational mission is to like advance technology through social impact. And again, that pathway comes with a credential. And if you're interested, that's where you can kind of like, you can type that AKA in, and that'll take you directly to the course. And just to give you kind of an overview of what's involved, like what's in the course, there's a set of 8 modules. First one being kind of like that AI foundations, really making sure that we kind of lay the groundwork of like what AI is. Then it kind of goes into kind of those examples I talked about. How do you work smarter with AI in the nonprofit? And this is not about like, a lot of times I think there's a direct fear of like displacement of workers. And it's not, it's augmenting, right? Like I said, like you might have one person that's doing bookkeeping, Well, like you still need that person, even if they're using AI tools, you still need that person to kind of go back and look at everything, right? And really make sure, or maybe their time is freed up, right? So they're not, they're able to just check how kind of their AI agent is working, but then more of their time is freed up to do other things like supporting the advancement team, etc. So it's not about like actually replacing workers, it's really about augmenting the existing work and to really lighten the load. Um, there's modules on kind of organizational AI readiness, like how do you really think about your readiness as an organization? And then based on your readiness, how do you begin to integrate? A lot of nonprofits are like, we don't even know where to start. And so this is kind of helpful, kind of giving you kind of where you can start. And then lastly, I'll just say that a big part of all of this is that responsible use. That responsible use of AI is always going to be critical in the work that we do. Yeah, and I guess I can stop, and I see questions. I want to make sure if there's any questions in the chat. Okay.
I don't see any questions yet.
Okay, perfect. Just wanted to double check because I see it kind of pop up. All right. Now I'm going to move to that second pillar in our approach, which is that Changemaker Fellowship, which is the community. And it's a global cohort of nonprofit professionals who get to kind of join in on this experience. So fellows like will learn alongside their peers, really, understanding kind of facing similar kind of opportunities and, barriers and challenges within the nonprofit sector. It's about really creating kind of that connection, but also like serves as a form of kind of accountability. Like you're in this cohort together, you're learning how to integrate AI into your organization. And that's what we're trying to create is like, how do we create community across the world? And for the fellowship experience, I kind of said this, but it's a 10-week sprint. Well, where organizations will bring, groups of 3 to 4 individuals from their team and you'll build skills. You'll actually design a plan. You'll like implement that plan, and then you'll get guidance and support. And then you'll share your learnings back with the community. So it really is about like that organization that's ready to really start thinking about AI integration and getting support from kind of technology experts, getting support from, fellow cohort mates, and being able to kind of, integrate. But also, I would say it's an iterative process, right? Where you're able to kind of test some things, come back to the cohort, share what you've learned, they share what you learned, and really be able to adjust throughout that process. And then lastly is the live and on-demand training. And so again, there's a website that you can go, and again, it's all, there's things that are very basic, and then it goes all the way to advanced. But really kind of they're free, available to all, and easy to access for nonprofit workers. The thing that I'll also share here, because I know that I saw a few folks from like Seattle colleges or maybe like Goodwill and whatnot. So when you're working directly with those that you're providing skills to, we still have, what we would call direct to kind of consumer or direct to learner opportunities too. And I can put that in the chat too. So our AI Navigator is a great tool where you can share that with even folks that are kind of coming into your ones to learn that you're serving. Oh, sorry. These got jumbled up. So this just gives you, for the fellowship, this is kind of that timeline of that journey. And so it's kind of, again, you're kind of onboarding in week 1 and 2. You're developing kind of your use case as a team. So think of it as like the team comes to these, weekly sessions, but then has homework to do. Because you're working as a team to really think about how you're going to implement. You're going to do some design and road mapping. You'll draft your adoption plan, and then you'll have your final plan, and there will be kind of a capstone event. And so these fellowships are kind of running concurrently, beginning next month, or this month rather. Sorry, it's the second. So the end of June is when the first cohort starts. And then this is just going back to showing kind of what those trainings look like. So again, it's going beyond that 101 and really getting into, prompting and how to build an agent, and that key question of how do you scale fundraising operations using technology, etc. So that's really kind of like the whole scope of what we're offering. And then lastly, here's kind of where you can find all of the information. If you go to that aka.ms Microsoft Elevate for Changemakers, you'll be able to get all 3 of those offers from that one website and explore kind of the trainings, the credentials, and be able to get more information on the fellowship. That application closed on May 22nd. So I'm like, oh gosh, this finished. But there's a link to signal your interest, and then when the application opens up again, they will notify you. And that's all I have for today.
Thank you, Jolenta. I have a quick question about the fellowship. Does that happen once a year or is it multiple times a year? I know the overall program is new, so maybe it's still being thought out.
It's multiple times a year. So it's a brand new program, with the idea being that it's those 10-week sprints. And so typically they are doing 25 to 30 nonprofits per sprint. And it is global, and it's very competitive because the response was huge from the first applicant pool. I think there was like 600 applications that kind of came in. And so there's a lot of interest. So hopefully we'll be able to accommodate more and grow bigger. It's the first year, so hopefully this signals the real need and desire for nonprofits to learn in this very kind of community way.
Sure. I see Ndudi's hand up, and then we can do the question in the chat. Ndudi?
Hi. Hi, Jolenta. Thank you so much for that presentation. Very insightful. Yeah, I have a question. So, for most small nonprofits, our problem is capacity, I have worked in big nonprofit organizations, and people focus on different things, sometimes even siloed. But small nonprofit, you go from the birth of the grant or the project till the sunsetting of it. So you just don't have the capacity. Do you have any are you thinking of people like us who were it? We don't have 10 weeks to go through. We don't have 10 weeks to go through a course, whether it's fellowship or whatever it is. We just do not have the 10 weeks of consistent, joining the class and all that. Are you thinking about people like us for crash courses or any other kind of program that will help us grasp what we need?
Yes. I think we're thinking, and that's why I think there's that 3-pronged approach where it's like, the AI for Nonprofit Credential, that is a 2.5-hour course. So, and again, I can even speak for us that work here at Microsoft. Like we, we're a huge organization, but carving out time to do professional development is hard. It's difficult. And so we did create that credential, and we made it shorter, again, 2 hours, just because it allows for like smaller nonprofits to upskill their employees in a very quick way. And then also the live and on demand. But we don't have and kind of go back and forth. It's really hard to create community if you don't have that kind of long, like 10 weeks is actually pretty condensed too, right? We've got, like, I'm running cohorts right now with school districts, and they're 2 years. Sorry, and that actually, like, so it's kind of like we thought 10 weeks was the sweet spot. But I hear you in that it's really, really hard for those to step away, especially for smaller nonprofits. But hopefully you find the AI nonprofit professional credential helpful. And that's free.
Thank you.
And I saw a question in the chat real quick. It was how many slots, oh, excuse me, how many slots are available for each 10-week cohort?
25 to 30 right now.
Okay, 25 to 30. And Chelsea, I see your hand up as well. Was that your question, or do you have another?
Yeah, it was my question. I also have another question. Hi, Jolenta. Thank you
Okay.
too for a great presentation. Question is regarding the credential. What kind of weight does the badging hold? Is it just the FYI, we learned a lot, or how is it useful beyond the information that we grasp only intrinsically and can use in our organization?
Great question, because this is, I've worked a lot in workforce development and things like that, and I'm always like, gosh, yes, there's a lot of credentials on the market. It makes it confusing, I think, for employers and for and so what is the value? I do believe, though, that I think it just signals like, hey, I'm a nonprofit worker, that I have some AI skills. So how much weight it has, I think it's going to be dependent on the market. But I do think more and more employers are asking, do you have AI skills? And I think demonstrating, one, that you have AI skills, and then two, it's on a stack that's widely used, right? Whether it's AWS, Microsoft, whatnot, those tend to be kind of the platforms that most nonprofits or businesses are using. So I don't think, I'll just be honest, all nonprofits are gonna have their hiring requirements. You want someone with subject matter expertise, you want, grant making, whatever. But then I think that this does allow them to say, oh, they actually took the time to understand how to use AI tools within this context. So, yeah. Sorry, did I answer? But was there a second part of that question? Okay, just wanted to make sure.
I have another question. You had mentioned that in the percentage slide about nonprofits being interested, yet they might not have the policy, right? A written policy. Is that something that the crash course covers, policies, like organizational policies?
It doesn't. We will never, as a company, we cannot tell you what your policy should be. We try to stay out of that. What we do, though, is tell you what good policy could look like. So yes, it does cover governance models that are important to have, what you should think about as you're creating that governance models, mostly with kind of privacy, transparency, etc. So we do kind of the high level governance, but we just don't get into kind of building policy for any customers and nonprofits or public or private entities.
Okay, thank you. And I saw there was a question in the chat. Jessica, I'm going to ask this one real quick from Elizabeth. Elizabeth wants to know how to access the 2-hour course. I think it's in the link, and I'll try to grab it and share it in the chat too. And she also asked, is it open to government employees as well as NGOs?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's kind of a website, so I think anybody can use it. Anybody can go and get skills, so it's open and accessible to anyone. But I will say it's really truly targeted towards nonprofits. A lot of the scenarios will be very much nonprofit and not necessarily government entities.
And Jessica, please.
Yeah. Just to build off of what you said last, Catherine, so Evergreen Goodwill, I'm part of a learning community and we've drafted a guideline and principles to help our instructors make decisions about how to use AI in the classroom with input from employers and staff and students. But I'm wondering if the live and on-demand training could be a place where we bring that draft and get feedback from others. Um,
Oh.
so not policy per se, but guidelines.
Probably not on those live, just because it's going to be kind of like one instructor. If you've ever, it's the one instructor. It's, yeah. Depending on the size, not even sure if it's open for like the back and forth. Um, but yeah, I think the fellowship, definitely, that's where like you would absolutely get kind of that feedback and that community to kind of go back and forth and thinking about how to build out policies and governance models.
Thank you.
And I saw, I'm going to ask the question in the chat. I think it came just before you, Chelsea. David is asking, is there a component or separate track to help teach community members about AI safety and use?
Yes. So we do have, and I can put it in the chat once I'm trying to figure out how to stop sharing my screen so I can actually grab links. But we do have trainings via our AI skills navigator that's open for anyone. That's just, and it's AI powered. So it's kind of meet you where you are. You can go in there and say, I want to learn this. You can say your role, etc. And then or what role you want. And then it will provide you with kind of it would curate a learning path based on some of the prompts that the learner puts in. Chelsea?
Thanks for that note that you just plugged about curating a path based on your response to the note to the prompts. I love that. My question is there sort of a trailer that promotes this so that we can get an idea? Because I think each of us will have questions specific to our industry or our specific organization, which could be different. And so rather than asking you all those specific questions, is there a trailer or a promotional video or something that we can access to just get a sneak peek to the fellowship, the on demand, and even the 2-hour credential?
I wish there was. We should talk to our marketing for that. I think if you go to the Changemaker, there's FAQs at the bottom, or not change. Yeah, there's FAQs, all of that kind of available. I will say the live and on-demand training site, I mean, there's just a lot there, right? So there is a little bit of wading through it to figure out. But I do like our AI skills navigator, because again, nonprofit workers can pull from that too, right? Because like you said, it will curate exactly what they want. Anything else?
Not a question, but this is just really exciting, Jolenta. This is Marisol with the Seeking WTC Workforce Board. And one of the things that we're looking at right now is that we have 3 digital navigators, 3 workforce centers. So we're starting to develop the plan for deploying these workshops within the curriculum that has been created already by our navigator. So really thinking about, I think there was a question around how is this can be helpful. And I think for us in workforce development is how can AI skills increase employability for individuals, especially for individuals that are being displaced because of technology advancements. So what's our role kind of within our systems and our CBOs to really thinking about kind of the AI space. And I think this is going to be a great resource kind of for the kind of the curriculum development, but also embedding it in a way that allows us to have something that is ready to go. So we're really excited about that.
Oh, that's great. And I will say too, you know, for nonprofits that are kind of serving job seekers and doing kind of upskilling and reskilling of individuals, um, even going through some of the pathways allows you to think about, oh, we should take that and put that and embed that into our kind of training path, etc. So while you're building up your own skills, you're also able to kind of think about like different skills to kind of embed within the existing track. So that I will say that that's the benefit of it. It's kind of applicable whether you're in nonprofit or not, because of course, as we know, AI skills are really augmenting a lot of jobs across all sectors.
Jolenta, to confirm, it looks like Chelsea dropped a link in the chat. I know it doesn't have the same AKA. I think it's the right link. If you want to just confirm for us.
Well, let's see. That is, yes.
And it looks like there,
Changemakers one. Yes.
okay. And it looks like there's an option to learn like within the Microsoft like platform as well as LinkedIn. Are there two separate
Yes.
places you do
Yes.
credentialing?
They kind of drive to both. There's what we call there's doors to multiple doors to the same place. But it's all, it's Microsoft, LinkedIn, NetHope. All of us have kind of entryways, but it's all to the same course.
Okay.
And you do not have to have, that's one question that I think people ask, like, do you have to have the full LinkedIn learning to do this? No, it's completely, it's free. You do not have to have it's on the other side of the paywall.
Okay.
For LinkedIn.
Okay, that's a good note. You don't have to have the paid version. Okay. I'm curious from the group that we have here, aside from maybe your personal using like ChatGPT personally or maybe Copilot, does your organization have any guidance for you in terms of using AI? Or is it something you're exploring on your own? And yes, good point, Elizabeth. The LinkedIn Learning is free with your public library card. Library plug right there.
I put in the Skills Navigator site as well. And again, for those of you that are serving, job seekers, etc., adult learners, that's a great place to send. And we're starting AI Skills Fest.
Yeah.
So that's a fun way. Lots of learning during AI Skills Fest.
And I'd love to check in too, see where people are maybe 6 months from now, if they've started any, their journey. Or feel free to drop me a note too. I'm just really curious to see where everyone is, or even where they want to be. Jolenta, did you have anything else? I can go ahead and bring us home.
You can bring us home. Thanks, everyone. I can put my email in the chat. If you would like to get a hold of me, feel free. I am always open.
Okay, perfect. Yes, make sure to I'll of course share some information and links after this. And Jolenta, I'll be looking for your slides to share out with the group as well. And then also just to plug, next month on the 16th of July, we're going to have Jay Lyman from the Seattle Public Library doing a kind of a workshop training on how to use Candid, which was the funding or the foundation directory previously. It's still pulling from that information, but there's have been some recent updates. So I'm going to go ahead and share that link in here. That's July 16th. You're welcome to join. And then Sabrina, did you want to go off mute and ask your question? Oh, it looks like Jolenta answered. Sorry.
Oh, cool.
Okay, perfect.
Will anybody from your team be there? Just curious.
Oh, you're on mute.
I'm not sure. So I'll have to ask. I'm sure someone is.
Sure.
I'm sure someone will be there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, perfect. Well, I appreciate everyone's time today, and thank you so much, Jolenta. I think this was really helpful, and I can't wait to share out more information for those who weren't able to make it today. We're also recording, so we'll be sharing this out. And if you have any questions for me, please feel free to ask me. And then also, Jolenta put her contact information in the chat. So I'll just hang out for a second in case anybody needs to grab a link. But other than that, I appreciate your time today. And I look forward to hearing your AI journey.